Hi YouTube, this is the High Sparrow, and welcome back to another Game of Thrones Season 8 video. The final season of Game of Thrones is up and running, and today I would like to review and share my thoughts on the first two episodes, as well as drop a few small predictions for the upcoming episodes. So without further ado, let's get to it. Starting off with episode 1, Winterfell. This episode was okay, I guess, nothing too major. Just like expected, we got to see many long-awaited reunions, with Jon and Arya being the most emotional one. We also saw Winterfell preparing for the war against the Army of the Dead, with Gendry apparently making weapons out of what looks to be blue dragon glass, which is a bit exciting. Down in the Winterfell library, Daenerys delivered the news to Samwell Tarly that she had killed his father and brother. And in my opinion, this was the best scene in the entire episode, much due to the fantastic acting of John Bradley, who is the actor that portrays Sam. Sam was also the one to tell Jon about his true parents, and due to the fact that this moment had gotten so hyped up during the last couple of seasons, it didn't live up to the expectations, at least not my expectations, because I wanted a bigger and more shocked reaction from Jon. I mean, after all, his entire life basically turned upside down during a single short conversation, and I wanted more to his reaction than what Kit Harington could provide. Another thing that bothered me a little was the fact that Jon managed to ride a dragon, and the reaction from himself and from Dany was as if they had expected him to be able to mount a dragon. I mean, for me at least, flying single-handedly on a dragon is a big deal that requires a special bond between the dragon and the rider, as well as the right bloodline, and neither Jon nor Dany did know about Jon's Targaryen lineage at the point of the dragon ride. Well, moving on to the last hearth and a new location, which is always nice because we do want to see as many locations as possible before the series is over. And the scene with little Ned Umber screaming was also a bit terrifying, I have to admit. Now, before heading over to episode 2, I want to mention what happened in King's Landing as well. Cersei slept with Euron Greyjoy, which was a bit surprising to me, at least this early. Harry Strickland couldn't deliver any elephants to Cersei, which is disappointing, but hey, even the Game of Thrones CGI budget has a roof. Theon rescued Yara unrealistically easy, which I think was just some kind of shortcut because the showrunners wanted to put emphasis on other plot lines. And of course I can't forget to mention the new intro that looks stunning, absolutely phenomenal. Okay, let's head over to episode 2, called A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. This was a fantastic episode with lots of character interactions and focus on the dialogue. I especially liked Jaime and Tyrion's conversations. I think they were well written, to say the least. And of course, Stormon's story about the giant's milk was another definite highlight. Arya sleeping with Gendry was not something that everyone had anticipated at the start of the season, but after Arya flirting with Gendry in episode 1, I don't think it was a huge surprise that they had sex in episode 2. Moving on, I wanted more reaction from Dany when Jon told her about his true parents, because it would be an equally big shock to her as it is to Jon. Onto a great sequence of the episode is Podrick singing Jenny of Oldstone's song as the camera shifts between different characters preparing mentally for the upcoming war. Not only was Podrick's voice beautiful, but the song also contains some heavy foreshadowing that could come in play later on in the season. But like so many others, I have to consider Jaime knighting Brienne the best scene of the episode. I mean, it was a great resolution to both Jaime's and Brienne's plotlines, and Tormund cheering on was satisfying as well. But most prominently was the fact that Jaime named Brienne a Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, which is the name of the novella series of the Tales of Dunk and Egg. And this And of course, it's a reference to Brienne being a descendant of Sir Duncan the Tall, also known as Dunk, which is something that George R.R. Martin has confirmed himself. That was all for episodes 1 and 2. Let's round off with a few predictions for the upcoming episodes. I believe that the scene in episode 1 in which Dany tells Jon that they could stay at that cave for 10,000 years is obviously a direct nod to Jon and Ygritte in season 2. But what's really interesting is that it may foreshadow Dany's fate, because Ygritte died fighting Jon, and I think that if Dany doesn't die in childbirth, she could die fighting Jon in a Targaryen power struggle over the Iron Throne, just like the Dance of the Dragons. I also believe that there's a fair possibility that Lyanna Mormont will die fighting during the Battle of Winterfell, and this would entail that Jorah will become the head of House Mormont, despite all the dishonor that he has brought upon his house. It's also possible that Jorah will outlive Dany, which would be tragic and really heartbreaking to see. Lastly, I have a sneaky suspicion that someone will get burned, perhaps with dragonfire, and survive, which would imply that the person has Targaryen blood. I picture it being one of the very last scene of the entire series. Alright folks, that was it for this video. Thanks a lot for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to stay tuned for more Game of Thrones and A Song of Ice and Fire videos coming your way. #WhatTheFuckSalami.